Part 52. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 511. Chapter 511 Mom's News 3. Tanyuj smiled fondly, glanced sympathetically at his brother's room, and deeply sympathized with him. Now smelling the remaining juice in the medicine bowl, he couldn't help but frown, thinking about how unpleasant the medicine was. Tanyuj raised the information in his hand and offered the treasure to Chien Yuman. I have good news for you. There is new news about your mother. Chien Yuman suddenly raised his head, excitedly thrust the bowl in his hand into his hand, and at the same time snatched the file bag from his hand. Message from Mom. Great, finally there is news from my mother. Chien Yuman happily opened the file bag and took out the information inside. Tanyuj explained it to her at the same time. I investigated the records of the mother-in-law's original acquisition of the house. Because it was a bit old, the search took a while. I found out that the house was not purchased, but was given to my mother-in-law through a Mr. X. We went to Mr. X's investigation, but there are no clues from the investigation department, and all the information about this person in the real estate has been eliminated. Now it is almost certain that Mr. X is the person who took away your mother-in-law. Chien Yuman browsed the information in her hand at a glance. The information mentioned by Tanyuj was written in more detail. At the same time, there were some contents that made her feel depressed. The information shows that 23 years ago, my mother came to Berlin by plane, stayed there for 3 months, and then left Berlin in a hurry. What she was doing in Berlin in the past 3 months has not been revealed in the information. Not only that, not long after my mother left Berlin, the beach villa was assigned to her name. 23 years ago, what was Mom doing? Why did you go to Berlin? Did you come with Mr. X? I remember my father said that he met his mother 22 years ago. They got married half a year after they met, and they had sisters a year later. According to the above calculations and what my father told me, my mother probably met my father 3 months after returning from Berlin, and then dated him for half a year before marrying him. Could it be that my mother had some relationship with this Mr. X? After my mother left him, she married my father. Knowing that my mother was sick and had no money for medical treatment, I secretly took her away for medical treatment. But why is it so mysterious? Does it need to be taken away secretly? Mr. Tang, who do you think this Mr.? I think this is very likely. My mother-in-law was very similar to you when she was young. She could seduce the souls of some men wherever she went. Sister Chien Yuman's appearance is 60% to 70% inherited from Chien's mother. Chien Yuman pouted and looked at Mr. Tang meaningfully. What do you mean by this? Are you saying that I attract bees and butterflies? Kindness. That's right. Nothing. Tanyuj shook his head. No, Chien Yuman chuckled and came closer to him and looked at his face. Your eyes betray your thoughts. That's what you think. Do you think I don't know? Honey, don't just accuse me. I definitely don't think so of you. Last time at the charity auction, you were definitely not trying to attract bees and butterflies. Oh. You think I'm just trying to attract bees and butterflies? Why do I remember that there were so many rich ladies talking to you? There were so many that could form 10 football teams. Chien Yuman's tone was sour, but her expression was full of emotion. Ridicule. Tanyuj suddenly jumped up and took several steps back. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 512. Chapter 512 Chaos Group Celebration 1. Honey, I'll buy durian myself and kneel down. After saying this, Tanyuj ran away quickly, leaving his handsome back for her to see. Chien Yuman has made several guesses about the relationship between Mr. After finally getting the direction of investigation, I naturally followed it all the way to the end. They originally planned to stay in the city longer, but Grandma Tang kept urging them to go back and ask Tangyuj not to take his pregnant wife around. I don't know when I will be able to thoroughly investigate my mother's whereabouts. Seeing that it is August, half of the summer vacation, Qian Yuman has not completed most of the summer vacation plans she planned. She feels very bad and decides to leave someone to investigate. She also wanted to go back and ask her father if he knew anything about Mr. Berlin is only a big place. Although there are many places for tourism and entertainment, they spent a week and almost did it. Tang Xingai's young couple left behind a few words and ran away to play somewhere else. The three of them on Qi Lili's side were having fun. Murongye used his shameless skills and pestered Qi Lili and Tang Feishan every day. The good-tempered Tang Feishan was about to explode several times because of Murongye, not to mention Qi Lili, a pure man with a cold appearance and no mercy in his actions. Even after Tang Xingai and the others left the castle, it was still very lively and noisy. Of course, there is another sound in the castle these days, the screams of Wang Tianyu and the sounds of Fang Qingguo forcing him to drink medicine. Although the medicine smells bad and tastes bad, the effect is still very good. It can be seen that Wang Tianyu's complexion is getting better day by day, the wounds have also scabbed, and he can get out of bed and walk around in a few days. Murong 11 was originally presiding over the 7th anniversary celebration of the Emgrand Group, and has been vigorously preparing for follow-up preparations in the past few days. Many dignitaries will come that day, and Qian Yuman will attend this celebration as Mrs. Tang. Through this period of time, Qian Yuman attended large banquets and small parties from time to time, and she was able to handle this aspect with ease. After all, she was a beautiful girl with wisdom and beauty. The more she participated in these activities, the more she saw Tangyu's communication skills. He was worthy of a doctorate in psychology. Facing all kinds of people, he could always handle the relationship between the two parties very well. Everyone who talked to him smiled. At the same time, it also made her realize how high his status was. Because they often see celebrities in celebrity columns on TV or in magazines, they see Tangyuj restrain his domineering attitude in front of outsiders, and talk to him like an ordinary friend, even in a low and flattering manner. Qian Yuman has always known that Tangyuj and his four good brothers are very low-key and rarely appear in the public eye. According to their excellent appearance and ability to make money, the four of them are all under the age of 30. With these excellent conditions, they are definitely idols of women all over the world. Because they are relatively low-key, they will not appear in magazines and TV. Otherwise, based on their ability and appearance, they may be many times more popular than popular celebrities. No, this is the busiest day in the 7 years since its establishment. Qian Yuman attended in a red dress. That day was mainly composed of corporate leaders who have been interacting with and cooperating with the Emgrand Group, and a small group of senior staff of the group. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 513. Chapter 513 Chaos Group Celebration 2. Since it is the group's 7th anniversary event, and everyone happened to be visiting Berlin, we invited them all to attend the anniversary celebration. The venue for the anniversary celebration was the Dorset Hotel under the Emgrand Group, which is also one of the most expensive hotels in the world. The delicacies there are rare, expensive, and most importantly, delicious. The 7th anniversary is in a hotel owned by the group. Perhaps for distinguished guests, there is no place more suitable than here. Since it was the group's anniversary, many big-name stars were invited to sing and perform, basically all of them world-class singers. When Qian Yuman read the list of performances, screams spread throughout the castle early in the morning, and she kept screaming with excitement. Handsome guys, so many handsome guys and beauties, so excited. Tomorrow's anniversary is in the evening. Qian Yuman has been looking at the clock, looking forward to the evening coming soon. The group invited top stars, most of whom she liked, especially the lineup of handsome guys, which made her excited. Murong 11 was equally excited. Although she looked a little deserted on the outside, she was looking forward to it just as much as Qian Yuman. Sister Murong Qian Yuman held Murong 11's hand, feeling like she had found a companion. Sister Manman cherishing each other, she opened her arms and hugged Qian Yuman. Early in the morning, you can often see the scene of the two hugging each other in the castle, which makes Tang Yuj dumbfounded. The performers of the emigrant group this time were all decided by Murong 11. She and Qian Yuman have a common hobby, which is to like handsome guys. The difference between her and Qian Yuman is that she is a fanatical star chaser. She likes many celebrities and likes them all. Therefore, she invited them all when selecting the group's performance list to satisfy her wish as a fan. Take photos with them, ask for signatures and shake hands. It is rare for a fan to reach her level. Who makes her rich, powerful, and capable? Qian Yuman is just crazy about handsome celebrities. The two of them started looking forward to the evening early in the morning. Because the event was relatively closed to the public, there was no media, but there were still some fans waiting outside. The event didn't start until 6 o'clock. Qian Yuman and Murong 11 arrived early and were waiting at the door at 5 o'clock, waiting for the stars to arrive. On this day, Tang Yuj completely turned into an accessory and was almost forgotten by Qian Yuman. Sister Murong, when will Justin come? He is the opening act and will arrive before 5:50. Don't worry, I will take you backstage to take photos and ask for autographs. I'm so looking forward to it. Why is it only 5 o'clock now? Life feels so long. I can't wait to go to his house to pick him up now. How about we go now? Okay, okay. The two women were discussing whether they had the urge to go, but they were stopped by Tang Yuj. You too. Miss Murong 11, if you carry my wife away, I will immediately ask Xiao Zhang to cancel all celebrity activities. This is so, you are treating this handsome guy like nothing. TCH, boring. Mr. Tang is so boring, I won't go if I don't want to go. That's right, we are not afraid of him, we just respect him. Yes, yes, it's strange that we are afraid of him. Tang Yuj covered his face. He now regretted bringing his wife to attend the anniversary celebration and turned into two nymphomaniac little fans chasing stars. In the midst of the two women's casual thoughts, it was time to celebrate their anniversary. Qian Yuman, led by Murong 11, knocked on the door of each dressing room. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 514. Chapter 514 Chaos Group Celebration 3. Qian Yuman, led by Murong 11, knocked on the door of dressing rooms one by one to look for celebrities. As the vice president of the emigrant group, Murong 11, it is not a matter of time to meet these celebrities. Murong 11 turned into a crazy little fan, and Qian Yuman was no better. Faced with Murong 11, the vice president of the emigrant group, and Qian Yuman, the wife of the chairman of the emigrant group, these celebrities also responded to their requests. No matter what requirements Qian Yuman and Murong 11 had, they could basically meet them. Who would let them? Their backgrounds are so vast. The first thing is not to offend them. Building a good relationship will also be of great help to their future careers. The second is that they are all beautiful women, and they will happily agree even if their background is not strong. Tang Yuj left directly and found a small corner to draw circles. Instead of accompanying Qian Yuman and Murong 11 crazily, he sat alone in a small corner of the venue drinking. The anniversary celebration has officially begun, and it is inevitable that the president will come on stage to speak. As the chairman, Tang Yuj has no interest in this aspect. He is not used to being exposed to the air, so he is quite quiet in the corner. Brother, where is sister-in-law? Tang Feishan slowly walked towards Tang Yuj, holding Qi Lili's arm in his arms. Feishan, Lili, come and sit, Tang Yuj actively invited. Qian'er and 11 ran backstage to ask for autographs and photos. I didn't expect that my sister likes handsome guys, even with a husband as handsome as my brother-in-law, she still can't change it. Yes, Tang Yuj sighed. Obviously none of the celebrities here today are as handsome as him, but it was because these celebrities were ignored by their wives. Brother-in-law is so kind to my sister, Qi Lili said with a slight smile, with a hint of envy in her voice. Tang Yuj chuckled lightly, his eyes noticing the moment Jian Yuman appeared at the venue, and his eyes softened a lot when he saw her happily holding a stack of group photos and smiling happily. She deserves my kindness to her, Tang Yuj said with a smile. When Jian Yuman saw Tang Yuj, she ran over happily and held up the signed photo in her hand as a treasure. Husband, look, this is a signed photo of Daisy and Justin. I like it so much. I like it so much. Jian Yuman's little face turned red with excitement, her body leaned intimately into his arms, and he put his arm around her shoulders. Nice. You love it? Jian Yuman looked at the stage with bright eyes, pulling on his clothes excitedly and pointing to the position near the stage. Husband, let's go closer to the stage. We can't even see clearly from here. Good. Long live. Jian Yuman pulled Tang Yuj and changed positions, answering all requests. Watching Jian Yuman leave under Tang Yuj's favor, Tang Yuj did not hesitate to change from a hidden corner to a prominent position. Qi Lili became more and more envious. My brother-in-law is so kind to my sister. I am very happy to see my sister be so happy. Tang Yuj's kindness to Jian Yuman and the happiness in Jian Yuman's eyes were very envious for her sister. I'm good to you, too, Tang Feishan said softly, gently holding her waist and leaning into his arms. Qi Lili raised her head and looked at Tang Feishan, her eyes becoming dazed for a while. Fei Chen, when do you think we can get married? Qi Lili suddenly thought of this question. If the matter had not been exposed, their wedding would have been in a few days. If the false pregnancy hadn't been exposed, she would have been busy being a newlywed these days and would not have had time to play abroad. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 515. Chapter 515 Chaos Group Celebration 4. The two of them lived quite happily abroad, but she knew that she still had to face the things she had to face. Although she did not break up with Tang Feishan, she still could not marry into the Tang family because Tang's father did not agree with them being together. She is different from her sister, who is already married to Tang Yuj and is pregnant. Even if Tang's father doesn't like it, he will accept Jian Yuman for the sake of his grandson. What's more, my sister is also liked by Grandma Tang and has Grandma Tang's escort. As for her, Father Tang doesn't like her, she has no children, and there is no marriage certificate. Grandma Tang remains neutral towards her. For her, their future is a blur, and even she can't see the direction clearly. I'm sorry. Hearing his girlfriend's emotion, Tang Fei apologized in a deep voice and held her tighter. I will give you a grander wedding in the future. As long as you don't leave me, we can always get my father to agree to our marriage. Maybe, Qi Lili said a little lonely. It's really maybe. None of them knew when Father Tang would let go. This must be a long-term battle. I think you should break up. Murongye was still talking on stage 3 minutes ago. After getting off the stage, he immediately came to find Qi Lili. From a distance, he saw Qi Lili leaning lonely in Tang Feishan's arms. His heart ached, and he stepped forward and pulled Qi Lili directly into his arms. What are you doing? Tang Feishan tried his best to maintain a harmonious smile on his face. Murongye sneered. I think Lili will be happy only if she follows me, and following you will only make her miserable. You will only draw a big pie for her, but you will not be able to realize it. Before marrying you, I was destined to endure hardship and be ridiculed by your family. You are not worthy at all. Come on Lili. As a man, you shouldn't let your woman suffer a little bit, and you still ask her to accommodate you. Murongye spoke so sonorously and forcefully that Chi Lili, who was leaning in his arms, forgot to push him away. Because what he said made perfect sense and spoke to her heart. She has also thought about these issues, so she is very envious when she sees her sister and brother-in-law getting along. You don't need to take care of this matter, and it's not your turn to intervene. You don't understand my difficulties at all. If it were your parents, would you be able to handle it well? You. Murongye's expression suddenly turned cold. Tang Feishan's simple words directly touched the most uncomfortable part of his heart. I'm sorry, I won't be able to know in this life, because without my parents, I would never be in your situation. Chi Lili looked at Murongye and saw deep sadness in him. Tang Feishan realized that he had said the wrong thing and immediately apologized. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. Tang Feishan, if you could bring happiness to Lili, I would not marry or pursue her. As long as I see sadness in her eyes, I will never give up on her. She can obviously live a happier life instead of being beaten by you. The Tang family is abusive. After Murongye said this, he hugged Chi Lil and left, pulling her away in front of her current boyfriend. Murong, what are you doing? Chi Lil said sharply, trying hard to pull her hand back from his. Murongye changed his mind. He didn't say a word, turned his back to her and pulled her away. It could be seen that he was still in a bad mood at the moment. Feishan didn't mention your parents on purpose just now. Don't be angry. I had heard before that the Murong siblings' parents died in their early years, and he was still underage when they died. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 516. Chapter 516 Willing to lay down my life for him to prevent disaster 1. It doesn't matter, I am a person without parents. Don't be like this. Chi Lili frowned slightly, not used to his cold demeanor for a while. He always gave her the impression that he was full of energy, never finished talking, and very shameless. I'm fine, I'm used to it. Chi Lili twitched the corner of her mouth and said she was fine. Her face was obviously dark and she was obviously very concerned that she had no parents. Murongye Tang Feishan chased after him and grabbed Murongye's shoulders to stop him from walking further. Please give me my girlfriend back. I don't. Don't go too far. She is my girlfriend. What do you mean by dragging her away in front of me? Today is the anniversary of your group, and you don't want your guests and employees to see the boss and other men robbing her. Tang Feishan put his arm around Chi Lili's shoulders and stared at his hand holding Chi Lili's arm. This love rival is not easy to deal with at all. He is so stinky and shameless that he cannot fight or scold him away. He always sticks to Lili's side. The other party is powerful and handsome, and I can feel that he is serious about Lili and really wants to take Lili away. If he hadn't gotten to know Lili first, maybe Lili wouldn't have chosen him in the first place. Murongye looked around at the glances coming from time to time, but he didn't dare to look directly at the people, so he had no choice but to let go. Don't be complacent. The anniversary is just one day. Before you get married, I will use all possible means to Lili away. You'd better stay in jail. It will hurt Lili a little bit more. Be careful if I have the chance. Take. Murongye looked at Chi Lili. His desire for Chi Lili was never hidden in his eyes, and the look he looked at Tang Feishan before leaving also contained a warning. Thank you for your advice. I will try my best to prevent you from taking Lili away from me. Tang Feishan looked at him with the same unwillingness to admit defeat. He would not let Chi Lili leave him. In the best position, Jianyuman and Murong 11 leaned together, watching the performance on the stage with pink bubbles in their eyes, and making excited sounds from time to time. As a pregnant woman, Jianyuman will naturally not let go of the table full of delicacies. Every bite of these delicacies is missing, and the prices are so good. The food on the table costs hundreds of thousands. Hearing that the entire anniversary celebration cost tens of millions, Jianyuman had to admire that the Emgrand group was worthy of being a wealthy group. I had a great time watching the show. Only halfway through the performance, suddenly the lights in the entire venue went dark. When it was just dark, Jianyuman said excitedly, "What are you doing? A surprise session? Why are the lights all dark?" The moment the lights went dark, Murong 11's eyes changed, and she immediately changed from a crazy little fan to a powerful queen in the mall. Tangyuj immediately hugged Jianyuman into his arms and looked around warily. "Mr. Tang, what's going on? Why are the lights dark?" Jianyuman asked confusedly, feeling Tangyuj hugging her harder. It seemed that things were not as simple as she thought. There was chatter all around, but everyone was still calm. The security guard immediately raised his hand to Tangyuj, and the event manager of the celebration immediately contacted him to ask why there was no power. Suddenly Tangyuj squatted down while holding Jianyuman, and then saw something flying past her, followed by a person's cry. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 517. Chapter 517 I am willing to lay down my life for him to prevent disaster too. Someone was shot. Just now, a bullet flew over and hit an employee. The scream was caused by an employee nearby who noticed something was wrong with his colleagues. Just for a second, there were constant screams, and from time to time there was the sound of someone being shot. "Protect Mr. Tang, Mrs. Tang and Miss Murong, and leave immediately," one of the bodyguards ordered. "Yes." Under the protection of the human wall, Tangyuj and others began to move toward the safe exit. Then gunshots continued to ring in their ears, and the lights turned on at the same time. Jianyuman just took one look and saw that there were several people who had been shot lying on the ground, as well as countless fleeing guests. Within less than a minute of the power outage, 60 or 70 bodyguards arrived at the venue to maintain the safety of the venue. At the same time, they noticed that there were 20 or 30 unknown people at the scene. They all had guns in their hands. More than a dozen people had been shot dead on the spot. There were still many gangsters on the loose. They fought wildly with the bodyguards and injured innocent people from time to time. They looked around, looking for Tangyuj and the others. The moment they saw them, the group of people rushed over like crazy. "Let's go," Tangyuj hugged the stupid Jianyuman and immediately ran from the safe passage. Following them were more than a dozen of Tangyuj's personal bodyguards, all of whom were wearing casual clothes and were the bodyguards he secretly protected. Continuously opened the way for them to fight with their opponents, and protected Jianyuman and the others very safely. Tangyuj and Jianyuman ran non-stop. The moment they arrived at the basement, gunfire was heard. Unexpectedly, there were gangsters lurking waiting for them in the basement. Tangyuj's bodyguards all fought 5 of them one at a time, immediately displaying their powerful abilities. I heard that these bodyguards were all trained by Chang Junyi and were specially designed to protect Tangyuj's safety. The crisis has not yet come, and they are running quickly. Jianyuman was protected in Tangyuj's arms like a little chicken. When they approached the car, several more people rushed out. Murong 11, holding a gun in his hand, immediately fired several shots at the gangster. "Yuj, Manman, you go first, I'll cut you off." "No, you go together," Tangyuj ordered coldly. He would not let her go and leave first. Murong 11 raised the gun in his hand and smiled brightly. "What are you worried about my abilities? You have to protect Manman well and don't let the child in his belly get hurt. Don't be too moved. I'm not doing this for you. If Manman hadn't been here, I would have let you join the battle. Now your most important purpose is to protect them, mother and son. Murong 11 persisted, and even a few more words from Tanyuj and Qian Yuman were of no avail. The surroundings were too dangerous, and there was no time for him to think about it, so he immediately took Qian Yuman and left. Murong 11's sharp movements and accurate marksmanship were definitely no worse than those of Tanyuj's bodyguards. His handsome back left a deep impression on Qian Yuman. She is as handsome as my sister. But she had no ability and could only be protected in Tanyuj's arms, unable to help them in any way. They walked a short distance for a long time, and were still protected by two bodyguards. The other party obviously had a plan and organization, and the attack caught them off guard. If Tanyuj's bodyguards were not well trained, they might have succeeded. Seeing that the last two bodyguards were also shot and were still struggling to protect them, Qian Yuman's eyes turned red. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 518. Chapter 518 Blood on the Lower Body 1. Seeing that the last two bodyguards were also shot and were still struggling to protect them, Qian Yuman's eyes turned red. Tanyuj was not only protected by others. He pointed a gun at the gangster and protected the woman in his arms. Running and dodging along the way, exciting and thrilling, and finally getting close to the vehicle. I don't know when, Murong 11 had already driven the car over. She was shot in the shoulder, dyeing her white dress red, which was so shocking. Sister Murong, are you okay? Qian Yuman's eyes moistened when she saw Murong 11 was injured. Murong 11 smiled handsomely. This little injury is nothing. Hurry up and get in the car. Qian, come in quickly. Tanyuj opened the car door and let Qian Yuman in. Qian Yuman stepped in without hesitation and glanced at him before entering. At the same time, he noticed a gangster behind him, with the gun in his hand pointed at Tanyuj's head. It was too late when she noticed it. Tanyuj and Murong 11 hadn't noticed it yet. Qian Yuman just looked back and saw a shocking scene. In just that second, Qian Yuman's brain didn't even have time to think, and her body moved one step ahead of her. She straightened her back, rotated to block Tanyuj's back, and at the same time pressed the opponent's gun. It happened too suddenly. Tanyuj turned quickly and saw the gangster shooting at them. Qian Yuman's action was to block the gun for him. Qian Tanyuj shouted, hugging her and running away, but it was too late. Qian Yuman closed her eyes and endured the pain of the bullet. Before the pain came, Tanyuj forcefully pushed her into the car, and then he also sat in the car. Murong 11 quickly set off and fled. Their cars are bulletproof, no matter how they are driven outside, it will not help. The car was speeding at high speed, although there were still people chasing behind it. Tanyuj's face was ugly, and he held Qian Yuman in his arms tightly, fearing that if he let go she would leave him forever. Are you an idiot? Do I need you to take a bullet for me? I'm not happy at all if you do this. Tanyuj's voice was trembling, he was really scared. The moment he saw the gangster shoot, his heart stopped. Fortunately, God bless. The gun in the gangster's hand was out of bullets and he fired a blank shot. If there was still a bullet in the gun at that time, he would probably be holding a corpse now. As long as he thought of the scene at that time, he was afraid, and deep fear rose from the bottom of his heart. I'm fine. Qian Yuman was still a little confused and didn't know what happened. When the car drove away, I realized that there was no pain on my body, that I was alive and well, and was held tightly in Tanyuj's arms. How do you want me to scold you? Do you know how stupid and risky your actions were just now? Fortunately, the gangster is out of bullets. You are not allowed to do such stupid things again in the future, Tanyuj warned, his voice was still trembling, warning. The effect is not very powerful. I know. Qian Yuman's mouth curved into a big smile. Am I okay now? You're still smiling. Tanyuj hugged her harder. Okay, okay. Look at your courage. You shouldn't be used to this kind of scene. Why are you more nervous than me? Qian Yuman said with a chuckle. She seemed not afraid, but in fact her legs were shaking. This was the first time she faced such a terrifying gun battle. I'm afraid a lot of people died today, causing a lot of panic. When I left, I saw countless people who were alive before lying on the ground. Late stage of lazy cancer? Yeah. Hopeless. Your Majesty gives up treatment. I was actually lazy for 2 days. But? Awesome. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 519. Chapter 519 Blood Scene from Lower Body 2. This was the first time she faced such a terrifying gun battle. I'm afraid a lot of people died today, causing a lot of panic. When I left, I saw countless people who were alive before lying on the ground. Looking back now, it feels very scary, but fortunately they are all alive and well. You have to promise me that you will not put yourself in danger in the future. I promise. In fact, the moment she thought about taking a bullet for Mr. Tang this time, she didn't even have time to think about the action her body made automatically. Even though Qian Yuman promised, Tang Yuj still hugged him and muttered, asking her to work hard to protect herself in the future and not to do what she did today. He was really scared. The little woman he had always cared for and loved in his hands was almost lost. The moment he saw the gun shooting at her, he forgot to breathe and his heart forgot to beat. At that moment, he felt all kinds of feelings in his heart. Murong 11 looked through the rearview mirror at the man and woman hugging each other tightly in the car, with a flash of envy and sadness in his eyes. Murong 11 stepped on the accelerator and kept accelerating, dodging the pursuit of gangsters' vehicles from time to time. Her voice was relaxed and pleasant. Okay, okay. Have you two shown affection enough? Are we still being chased? Yuj, you know how to care about your wife. Didn't you see that I was bleeding from a bullet in my shoulder, and I was still racing to avoid the gangsters? You concentrate on driving. Tang Yuj chuckled, finally in the mood to joke. You are a heterosexual and inhumane guy. Murong 11 gritted his teeth and made a painful expression at him. It's not like you haven't seen this kind of scene before, making a fuss about it. You bastard. Come here and drive. Come here. Murong 11 was bickering and driving at a very slow speed. The gangsters on the other side followed closely and hit them with their cars from time to time. Tang Yuj hugged Qian Yuman tightly, trying his best to avoid collision. In fact, they are not completely out of danger at all. There are still crises all around, but they can chat easily. Crash! There was a heavy car collision, and the rear of the car was hit hard. The three of them rushed forward. Qian Yuman might have fallen out if not for Tang Yuj's tight protection in his arms. Drive faster and get rid of these people behind you. Okay. Hurry up! Murong 11 shouted loudly. The speed of the car surged again, and before they had time to step on the accelerator, a car suddenly rushed towards them. Murong 11 quickly turned the steering wheel and made a sharp turn into another lane, which was also on the wrong side of the road. She used her driving skills and dodged quickly. The gangsters were much slower on the wrong road, and they were thrown away for a while. Tang Yuj in the car held Qian Yuman with one hand and grasped the handle of the car with the other. He relaxed only after he was sure that he was out of danger. Honey, how are you? Tang Yuj looked nervously at Qian Yuman, who looked a little pale. Qian Yuman tried her best to raise her head and shook her head with a chuckle. I'm fine. Compared with them, she was protected. Even when driving at high speed, she was closely guarded. What could happen? You said it was okay, but you look so pale. Qian Yuman shook her head and tried to suppress her physical discomfort. I'm really fine, you don't have to worry about me. Even though Qian Yuman said this, Tang Yuj was still worried and turned around to warn Murong 11. Drive carefully and don't forget that there is a pregnant woman in the car. Manman, don't hold it in if you feel uncomfortable. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 520. Chapter 520 Blood Scene from Lower Body 3. Manman, don't hold it in if you feel uncomfortable. Murong 11 also noticed that Qian Yuman's face was unusually pale. Qian Yuman smiled. I'm just a little scared. I want to go back and rest early now. Qian Yuman relied entirely on Tang Yuj. She felt really tired and fell asleep directly in Tang Yuj's arms. Feeling her even breathing, Tang Yuj gently touched her pale face while joking with Murong 11. Look at her, she just went through a big battle and she can actually sleep peacefully. Qian Yuman's ability to sleep is easy to admire. The car drove back not long after, and Tang Feishan, Murong Ye, Qi Liliai, and Fang Qingguo all came back, but everyone had some injuries, the most serious one being Murong 11's gunshot wound. Qi Liliai is not weak in fighting skills and has also learned firearms. She can remain calm when facing these gun-wielding gangsters. Tang Feishan and Murong Ye had seen this kind of battle before and were able to calmly lead people to evacuate. The one who was the most timid was probably Fang Qingguo. Although she met some gangsters and kept screaming in fear, she was able to knock them all down. The castle was already equipped with doctors and nurses, as well as a professional operating room. Murong 11 had already been pushed to the operating room to get the bullet. Qian Yuman was sent back to her room to rest, and Fang Qingguo went to take care of her and check her physical condition. She didn't have any injuries on the outside, but she was different from others. She didn't have the strength to bind a chicken, and she didn't have the good skills of others. The main reason was that she was a pregnant woman and her body was much more delicate than normal people. A group of people gathered together with ugly faces. Half an hour had passed since the incident occurred. 3 minutes after the incident, all the gangsters at the venue were shot dead, and security issues were also tightened. The casualties were also counted, and with the capabilities of the Emgrand group, what happened tonight did not spread. It is gratifying that no distinguished guests died. Those who were invited were celebrities, and they all brought their own bodyguards to protect them. At most, they suffered minor injuries. The only regret is that one manager died, 6 or 7 people were injured and shot, and the others were all minor injuries. Although the time to kill the gangster was short, the anniversary celebration could not continue. The other party specifically chose to take action on the anniversary, which was a slap in the face and made the Emgrand group lose face. This is the first time that someone has caused trouble at an anniversary celebration. There have been many casualties and the problem is very serious. Under the good crisis management of the Emgrand group, it is relatively stable, no one is panicking, and everyone is doing their own thing. With good handling ability, the gangsters who were killed have been handed over to the police, and the escaped people have been handed over to the local police for pursuit. Because this incident was serious and involved many powerful people, the security of the entire Berlin was strengthened, with 3 times more patrols than usual. At the same time, the Emgrand group puts pressure on the government and must achieve a satisfactory result. The family of the deceased employee also paid a high amount of condolence money, but everything was calm within half an hour. Xiaozhang, how is the investigation going? Tang Yuj's expression was serious and his eyes were cold. At this moment, he didn't look like a second-generation ancestor, let alone the gentle, considerate, and coquettish shameless husband in front of Qian Yuman. He is a terrifying man with a sinister aura even if he has a smile on his face. Mr. Tang, they are the same people on the last cruise in a short period of time, Secretary Zhang had already investigated the other party's information and put it in Tanyu's hands. No more, no more, no more today. See you at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. In the new week, don't forget to give your recommendation and monthly tickets to His Majesty. Moi? What? Are you reluctant to let me go? Oh well. Your Majesty, please say a few more words. I love your Majesty and praise your Majesty. Why? Chapter 520, shouldn't you praise His Majesty and express your love for His Majesty? No. I'll ask again later. End of this chapter.